What is up, Hobbit fans? My name is Trevor, and welcome back to another episode of Middle-earth Mondays. Been a while since we've done one of these, but we are back doing these for the next couple weeks. And today, this is a video that one of my longtime supporters, Adrian, has been asking me to do for months now. It's rank the Hobbit Heroes, villains, and the Hobbit movies. Well, the next 3 weeks, we are doing just that, my friend. We are ranking the Hobbit Heroes. Then next week, we're ranking the Hobbit villains. And the week after that, we are ranking all 3 Hobbit movies. Then the week after that, all 6 Middle-earth movies. And so today we are starting with the heroes, kind of the main heroes. Obviously, everyone joined in the company, and a couple others here and there. About 20 main heroes from the Hobbit trilogy. Join me in the comment section. Share your guys' take on where these characters should fall. And with all that said, let's get right into our tiers. Alright, first up, we have amazing. Then we have great. Then we have good. Then we have okay. Then we have meh. Then we have bad. And these are just where I think these characters should go. It's not set in stone. This is just one Lord of the Ring, Hobbit, Middle-earth fan geeking out about these characters. And with that said, let's get started. And these guys are actually in no particular order. First up, we have a Bomber. Bomber's got to go in the, if it clicks, there it is, in the okay tier. A lot of these, the company is going to be in the okay tier just because they don't have a lot to do. Obviously, they're great warriors, but they don't have a lot to do inside the films. Bomber, however, is a very, very, very funny character inside these films. One of the funniest how, and I think it's the first or the second Hobbit when they're all getting chased. I think it's the second one when they're all getting chased when they're in the barrels. You just see Bomber, who's the fattest of them all, just sprint past all of them. And when he's fighting goblins, he's belly bumping them. Definitely the more funny character. But other than that, doesn't have a whole lot to do. Next up, we have Fili, the twin brother of Kili. And it's very sad to see this guy die at the very end. Azog the Defiler. I mean, he takes him out, but I'm going to put Fili in the... I'm going to put him in the okay tier. I almost went the good tier. I'm going to put him in the okay tier as well. Again, doesn't have a lot to do, but when he dies and you see that Kili just sees his brother die before his eyes, you see Thorin sees like his comrade die before his eyes. Dude, it pulls on the heartstrings, but Fili, other than that, great warrior again, doesn't have a whole lot to do, but definitely an okay character to say the least. Next up is King Dain. King Dain, I'm going to go ahead and put in the okay tier. He comes in clutch at the end, doesn't have a whole lot to do, comes in with the army in a battle of the 5 armies, obviously, and he comes in there, he's riding a pig, gives a cool little speech. Other than that, not a whole lot to do. But next up we have Bofur. Bofur I'm going to put in the good tier because the first 2 movies, he actually one of the only dwarves who has a line and has different lines in. He's very funny. He gets the weed to help Kili when Kili has a poisonous arrow shot in his leg, and he has a lot of funny lines throughout the films. Definitely you get more from him than the other dwarves. That's why he's going to go into the good tier. Next up we have Gloin. Gloin's going to have to go in meh. I don't think Gloin has a single line, maybe one, but other than that, not much going on with this character. Next up, we have Dwalin. Dwalin's going to have to go in great. Definitely has one of the more prominent roles of the dwarves. He's definitely the muscle of the group. But he really goes and talks to Thorin in the Battle of 5 Armies when Thorin's really lost his mind. And Dwalin's basically telling him, like, you are not the king I came to follow you for. You are not the same person. Our army is fighting out there. He comes there and really brings Thorin back down that you aren't this dragon sickness king. You are still one of us. You are still this honorable man. And it's a really, really cool scene. And Dwalin is just so fun to watch kick some ass. So we have Bilfer. Bilfer again, he's going to go in meh. I don't think any of these characters are bad, but I honestly didn't really realize he was in this movie till I looked it up. I was like, yeah, Bilfer, he's in there, but he's right there. That's it. That's nothing too much going on with him. Next up, we have Ori. Ori again, we're going to put him in the meh tier. We're also going to put Nori and Dory all in there as well. Just some meh characters, not a whole bunch to do. Ori, Nori, Dory, fun names to say, but not a whole lot to do. Then we got Legolas, who isn't as likable in these films as he is in the Lord of the Rings films, but Legolas again has to go into the amazing tier. I'm not the biggest fan of what they did with him, making him look super CGI. Sometimes he looks straight out of a video game, but he does have the fight with Borg, which is awesome. You get to see Legolas bleed, face some adversity, and the girl he loves, Tauriel, she loves a dwarf, which we're going to get to in a second, so it's definitely, you got to feel bad for the dude a little bit, but if we're talking about as a character that you love because of the Lord of the Rings movies, obviously, but in this film, there's no denying that he is just badass, but also, he isn't all that likable in this film. Like, sometimes you can kind of see him kind of being the villain, like how he treats the dwarves, but he is very badass, and when he does get fighting, you're like, this is the Legolas we came to see. Next up, we have Oin. Again, in the meh tier. I feel bad for putting these guys there, but again, they're great warriors. Just don't have a lot to do inside these films. Next up, we have Tauriel. I love Tauriel, and I think she's played amazingly by Evangeline Lilly in the amazing tier. I loved her character. I do not believe she's in the book. Definitely an added character, but a very awesome added character in here. Give her the love story with Keely, which is just emotional. It's gut-wrenching, and two people you don't think would be together end up being together. That size isn't the only thing that matters, okay? We're going to move on from that one. Next up, we have Balin. Balin's got to go in the great tier, the wisest of the group, definitely always giving knowledge, and he's always saying different things, and he's very heartbroken when he gets to see that Thorin, the one he thought was going to be this honorable, different king, falls into the same pattern as the predecessor of kings, and Balin is definitely a genius, but he's also someone that every time he talks, he sounds convincing, and he really gets the dwarves out of lots of sticky situations. Next up, the protagonist of the entire film, the main hero, Bilbo Baggins. If there was a god tier above amazing, that's where he'd go. I mean, Martin Freeman, applaud to you. You played this character to a T. It is perfection. But Bilbo was like, he's a Baggin, and he's also a Took, and he's not supposed to go on adventures, and he misses his books, and he takes a nut, I believe it's a walnut seed, and from Beorn's garden, and we're gonna get to him in a little bit, but he takes that and he carries with him all the way, and he ends up taking the Arkenstone, giving it to King Thranduil, to basically not mess with Thorin, but to like get Thorin maybe like out of his brain a little bit to help everyone. Like, hey man, we gotta help everyone. And the scene with Bilbo and Gollum, I mean, come on, the riddle scene is awesome. What if I got in my pocket? That is a brilliant scene, and you get to see this Hobbit with the character, the sword Sting, when he gets to name the sword Sting. Oh, Sting, because it stings. That's pretty dang cool. But also, everything just about him, he's so likable, and you just are really, really rooting for him, and it's his emotional tie to Thorin and these characters. Everyone loves him, but like when Thorin dies in the Battle of the Five Armies, you just see how like much Bilbo and Thorin actually meant to each other, and it just rips my heart out. Next up is Thorin. Thorin might be my favorite Hobbit character, so Thorin's got to go in the amazing tier. I get it in the Battle of the Five Armies, and it kind of towards the end of the Desolation of Smaug, he kind of goes into that dragon sickness where he got all the gold, and now it's all getting into his head, but he is definitely an honorable dwarf, and like the first movie we get seeing him, how they all respected him and how badass he was. You're like, God, Thorin Oakenshield is awesome, and he's out for vengeance. And then even in the Desolation of Smaug, you get to see he's still that guy, he's still that leader, he has lots of respect. And then Battle of the Five Armies, you don't really like him until the third act of the film because he's not doing what he said he was going to do. He's not helping how he said he was going to head. He's not honoring his word. And then you get to see him asking his brothers, like, I have no right for you to ask, but will you follow me one last time? I gave myself chills right there, okay? He goes out there, he dies to kill Azog the Defiler. Let's Azog stab him, and he stabs Azog. And him and Bilbo like basically die in each other's arms. And God, it literally, rewatching that, brought me to tears. It is a fantastic scene. Next up is Beorn. Beorn's going to go in okay. Definitely very cool in the Battle of the Five Armies when he comes back and he turns into the enormous bear. That is awesome. And other than that, he just kind of helps the hobbits in the second movie a little bit just to kind of get them on their way. Gives them refuge just for a little bit in the film. But Battle of Five Armies comes back and he's this big-ass grizzly bear. And man, it is awesome. Next up is Keely. Keely's got to go in the great tier. I almost put him in amazing, but I don't put him in great. His relationship with Tauriel is so emotional. Like, you make me feel alive. How cheesy that line is also so beautiful. And he speaks dwarf to Tauriel, and she's like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, I think you do. Basically, we have to assume he's telling her that he loves her. And when Tauriel is like sitting there, and then when he died in front of her, and she's like, why does it hurt so much? And King Thranduil's like, because it was real. Oh, I was about to shed tears during that scene alone. A love story I never thought I'd care about between an elf and a dwarf. But I loved it. That was how we got Legolas and Gimli in The Lord of the Rings, that bromance. This was the first elf-dwarf romance, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Next up, the man, the myth, the legend, Gandalf the Grey. Gandalf's got to go in the amazing tier. Gandalf is obviously one of the best Middle-earth characters of all time. In this film, he's so badass. He saves the dwarves, and he's working with them to the best of his ability, because dwarves are not the easiest to get along with. Gandalf's someone you can always root for. Ian McKellen is a genius actor for this role, and him in Lord of the Rings is great, and in The Hobbit, he's even great as well. It is all so beautiful. And last but not least, the bowman, the Dragon Slayer. Not Jaime Lannister, it's Bard from Lake Town. Bard's gotta go in the amazing tier. I always wish, like, I get we can't, I know, but it'd be cool if we kind of got to see Bard in the Lord of the Rings movies, or at least if he was brought up, because that would have been something a little bit definitely cool. But Bard is awesome. Luke Evans, I wish Luke Evans was in more things like this. I like when he's in these adventure-type movies, and him as Bard is a great role, and basically he's just a noble man who's there to protect his family at all costs. The only problem I had, though, was that he didn't really get a send-off. Alfred, who's going to be in the villains tier, he's basically saying, what are you doing all this for? An annoying bastard he is, but he just looks at his family, and that's kind of it. See you, Bard. That's about it. But that's going to do it for the Hobbit Heroes ranking. I didn't include some people like Galadriel, Elrond, or even Sauron just because they didn't have too big of a role inside of this film. And also, King Thranduil will be on the villains tier next week. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks, guys, for sticking around. If you guys are still watching, comment down below. Hashtag Middle Earth Mondays, because we are back doing these. I'm so excited for all of it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time.